Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Breakaway session. I'm not here to actually introduce what this topic is about, but I want to hand over to our esteemed facilitator for this session. She is a powerhouse in her own field, in her own right. It's a face that most of us are very familiar with. Our facilitator is the host of the hit reality show, The Big Secret, on BET. She also used to host the drive show on Metro FM for 2 very successful years. She's a very seasoned media practitioner with a background in news and current affairs. Masichaba Ndlovu is our facilitator for today, a Pan-African brand who has interviewed international heads of state, captains of industry, and some of the most influential newsmakers of our time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Masichaba Ndlovu to the stage.
Say good morning, ladies. Is it morning or is it afternoon already? It's afternoon already. I feel like I've had 3 days in one day. I don't know about you guys. What time did you guys wake up? 5? 6? I woke up at 6, so that wasn't too bad. I'm really, truly honored to be a part of this really important event. And, you know, specifically for me, what it means to be part of the Top Women Conference is being a survivor. Yes. And, right? Yes. Yes. And I will be talking to women who know all about survival, surviving the world, surviving the current political dispensation, surviving relationships, surviving the workspaces, surviving life, and really just hopefully by the end of these discussions we can get to a point where we love each other more as women, we empower each other, where we empathize with one another. And I would just like to really give credit to the women who've come before this session. Just a big shout out to Caster Semenya. Round of applause for her. If there's any woman who knows about survival and about standing tall in spite of the odds, it is definitely Caster Semenya. And also just a very big shout out to another really phenomenal woman, Me Precious Moloi Motsepe. A round of applause for her. So honestly and truly, like the beauty of the reason that we've come together today is really just to reflect, but more than anything to connect. So when you look at the insights for 2019, we're going through a lot of newness, you know? We're experiencing a new government, we're adjusting to a new world, everything is happening differently. I don't know how many of you are familiar with something called the retrograde. The Mercury retrograde. So, I'm not an astrologist, but I urge you to write it down, look up the Mercury retrograde. If you find that really weird things have been happening to you in your personal life or in your professional life, whether it be conflict or confusion or a lack of clarity, you're in a funny space that you just don't understand, and it feels like there's a dark cloud hanging over you, you're not the only one. So we're coming out of the July retrograde, and what that means is that August is a month where we're experiencing the debris of the month of July, where things are meant to come to an end, where we are shedding our layer of skin. Just imagine what happens in the seasons before we come into the summer, right? They say darkness comes before dawn. So you might be going through something that doesn't make any sense. And just know that we're coming into a new month. We're coming into a new season. September is not just going to be springtime, but it's going to open up new and different things for you in your life. And all that debris is going to fall away. So keep fighting, keep standing, no matter what, okay? All right, so I'd like to introduce you to some of our panelists, and these are women who have been fighting and who have been standing. Can I have a seat? Yes. Can I? Thank you. All right. So some of these women include Tashmia Ishmael Seville, who's the CEO of the Youth Employment Service, which is a joint service between business, labor, and government. And it addresses South Africa's youth unemployment challenge by creating 1 million work experiences in South Africa. She founded the Boundless World, which focuses on strategy and also focuses on innovation as well. And she is a PhD fellow. And she is an incredible woman who will be joining this panel. I will ask her to come up in just a second. Another panelist is Jenna Dover. Jenna Dover, who has gone on to study at the prestigious Lee Strasberg Theatre Institute in New York City, and has since returned and gone on to appear in a number of feature films as well as television productions as well. Let's get a round of applause for both ladies. So Jenna obtained her law degree from the University of Wits and then went on to practice media and telecommunications and technology law specifically at Weber Wenzel, which is a huge ability to transition in two different worlds. Our other panel list is Melody Klaba, who's a woman that I've had the honor and privilege of working with. And Melody is an executive producer and format developer with over 10 years experience in the television industry. She's actually produced one of the most powerful talk shows that I've ever been proud to host on SABC2 called Musiwaka. She holds a BA degree in motion picture from AFDA, a postgraduate diploma in business admin from Mill Park Business School, and currently enrolled for an MBA at Henley Business School. She's also a mentor and a trainer in the TV and film industry. She's quite involved in developing new talent. So ladies and gentlemen, one by one, I'd love to introduce, first and foremost, Tashmia Ishmael Seville. A round of applause for her, please. Hello, Tashmia. Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, excuse me. I mean, if I just say ladies, I see one or two gentlemen in the room, so I'm confused. Do I say ladies or ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Also, could you give a round of applause to Jenna Dover? I feel like I'm introducing Miss World here. Like, thank you very much, Jenna. And without further ado, last but not least, a round of applause for Melody Klaba. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Keep up that fantastic energy. So, Melody, it's such an honor. I feel like we've come full circle. Have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
So, what we want from you this afternoon is your engagement.
Yes.
This is a panel discussion happening with the panelists that you see here in front of us. But this conversation is about all of us.
Yes.
And I really would like you to get involved and make sure that you raise your hand. You don't have to wait for the end of the conversation. If there's something that you'd like to add on, you want to jump right in, I will be facilitating the discussion. Be sure to make sure that you engage, all right? So one of the first two questions that we wanted to ask with regards to really understanding the contribution of women towards making South Africa bloom is, what do you celebrate about being a woman in 2019? And how has being courageous helped you achieve the impossible in the past? I'd like to open up that conversation. Some of you may be aware or not that 2 weeks ago, I survived a home invasion. So 5 armed men broke into my house violently, using a big rock about this size, and breaking through my sliding door, which is practically bulletproof, that has a wooden ledge about this thick. They hit the door so violently that the door dislodged. It's a sliding door. It dislodged out of the frame and was pretty much hanging by one side. I was sleeping with my 11-year-old son in my bed, and the distance between the door and where I was sleeping, my side of the bed, and that was the door. So I woke up with an absolute fright, as you can imagine. I was held at gunpoint, paraded down the passage, while they carelessly just switched on all the lights just to determine who else was in the house. And subsequently, when we got to my nanny's bedroom, where she was sleeping with my 6-year-old, they pulled her out, walked us back down at gunpoint, laid us down on our stomachs, tied us up with our hands behind our backs, and for over an hour ransacked the house, and then eventually ran off in my car. And you can only imagine how traumatic this experience was. The irony of the situation is that most people would think that we would have been harmed or killed because there was no man in the house. Now, here's a contradictory sentiment. I missed both my ex-husbands in that moment. You know, I've never missed them so much. But the irony of the situation is that it was my feminine power that saved our lives. I was able to completely submit myself to that situation. And I think they actually felt quite bad. But nonetheless, because I was able to use that energy, I call power for me, if you define what power is, humility and power cannot be separated from one another. Humility is power under control. So a lot of the time we're told as women to withhold our feminine power. We're too emotional. We're too soft. Sometimes we're called too hard, whatever the case is. All I know is that my feminine energy got me out of that situation alive. I'd like to open up the floor, ladies and gentlemen, to our panelists. And let me start from the left end. Melody, what is it for you? How has being courageous helped you achieve the impossible in the past?
Sure, where do I even start? Being courageous, it's just being able to look at just where my life was. You know, for me, courage is something that I've had to grow up with. Courage is something that I've had to use to get myself to where I am. You know, I actually grew up quite poor. I don't even look slightly like where I come from. And being courageous, for me, started at a very young age, like primary school age, just looking at my surroundings, looking at my circumstances, and deciding that I am going to have a different life. I don't know how. I didn't know how I was going to figure it out. And the one tool that I had for myself was education. And I just decided that I'm good at the school thing, and this is going to be my one ticket out of poverty. And it's just taking the courage, you know, to have that courage as an 8-year-old girl, making that decision for myself, that I was able to work myself, you know, out of poverty, and subsequently help my family, you know, over the years to get out of poverty as well. So that's how far I've had to be courageous in my life, just starting from as a little girl.
That deserves a round of applause, without a shadow of a doubt. What about you, Jenna?
That's an incredible story.
Your microphone is off. Maybe we can we swap microphones?
They didn't want to hear my rap. I said I'm ready with my Glade rap. They were like, not today.
Yes, girl.
That's an incredible story, and I'm so sorry about what happened to you. I don't have such a tremendous story to share. All that I could maybe recount is that, you know, I finished my law degree at the University of Witwatersrand, and I secured articles at Weber Wentzel, a huge firm. I, at the time, was on Scandal, so recognizable to people, and I was also in a film that had just done the highest box office in America, Safe House, Denzel Washington film. So I knew going into this firm as a candidate attorney that they were going to be looking to me to see whether I could approach the situation from a very humble perspective. I knew that in order to learn, I had to almost shrink myself to the opportunity and just really almost fall into the background, into the shadow, and just whatever instruction I was given, I would have to follow that through with a great amount of humility. I remember one of my first instructions, I was told to go into the center of town and take a photo of a pothole. And I just remember people recognizing me from Scandal at the time and thinking, if there was a time I could take a boyfriend to work day today, exactly that, it would be the day. And there I was in the middle of Joburg CBD taking photos of this pothole that a poor gentleman had fallen down. And of course, we were acting for the bad guy. and we were being sued. And remember thinking to myself, okay, you're going to have many more of these situations. You better keep your mouth shut. You better put your head down. And you better work, because they're looking for every example of a little diva ego moment that you give to recount it in the partner's boardroom.
Right.
And you don't want to give them anything but hard work. And so I would say, from a courage perspective, I really just had to swallow my pride and go in there and just do the work.
That is fantastic. It's fantastic, and also quite, for me, very sad to consider that we always have to humble ourselves beyond our levels of humility. We always have to try not to be divas, whatever that means. When you expect good work, you're called a diva. When you expect excellence, you're called a diva. When a man expects the same, he's just a perfectionist. So what about you, Tashmia?
So first, I'm so happy you talked about Mercury retrograde.
Yay!
My team knows I don't sign contracts in Mercury's retrograde.
Right.
What's quite tragic for me is your story about the home invasion. We had a similar experience. My daughters were very young. It was about 4 years ago. And they were little. They had a play date. I was gone to buy them cupcakes. I'd finished work early, and in the interim, they were held for 2 hours. And I think this is something that molds women in the country, is this imminent danger that faces particularly young women around every corner. I read a frightening stat that young South African women in townships experience worse post-traumatic stress disorder than Iraqi war veterans. You just need to be courageous, not only in your career growth, but just in navigating society, which is really patriarchal in our country. I had to be courageous quite young. I had a tough mother. I won't get into the details, but let's just say she was tough. And I had to be courageous facing that, growing up in a home under those circumstances. But when you get into the big wide world, I always thought it was something that was in books and talked about, this glass ceiling, this harassment by men. And when I started hitting it in my career, it was the shock that this was real, that this, you always think it's not going to happen to you. So, there've been numerous occasions where you've got to be really courageous when you know what is being done is wrong, and speaking out about it seems to be even worse. Mm-hmm. But the biggest courage that I think I've had to build and face is with the Youth Employment Service. This issue we face with youth unemployment is massive. Mm-hmm. The more I'm immersed in the literature, the more terrifying it gets. This really is our future. It's a cliche. It's our future, but it is. And there are networks and ways in which we've dealt with things historically. And when you come in as a woman with any different idea on how you're going to tackle something, you get resistance. And I think the biggest courage is when you've got an innovation, a new way of doing things, and the existing structures and power networks want to stick to the old way. So a lot of these previous challenges, I think, they build you up for the big one. And that's probably the biggest.
100%. In some instances, in fact, in many instances, I believe that women possess the qualities that in some cases some men don't possess, that becomes our superpower. Right?
Yes.
In a lot of situations that we encounter, whether they be personal or professional, emotional intelligence is required. I'm not saying men are not emotionally intelligent. I'm just saying that the very thing that's been used against us to say, don't hire women, women are emotional. There's something called emotional power. And that clearly saves lives in some situations, such as mine. In other situations, it can end world wars. Do you find that as a woman you've been supported, Melody, in your role professionally as a woman to be able to thrive and to make tough decisions and to do what you need to do?
So, for me, I've had it both ways. So I've been in situations where I've had men just really support me so strongly. But I've also been in situations where I've really had to fight for my place. And I think for me, the take, when I weigh both situations, at the end of the day, I look at that and I go, men do stuff. So I've also been in a situation where, it was a boys' club, and it didn't matter what I did. The boys' club was there. And, I was having a conversation, earlier with my business partner, and we were talking about this boys' club thing. And we were just speaking about how, sometimes as women as well, we complain a lot, about the fact that, there's the boys' club, I'm not allowed to do this and I'm not allowed to do that. But where's the girls' club?
Where's the girls' club?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where is our girls'
Yes.
club? Why do we need to be part of the boys' club?
Yes.
Yes, we live in a society that has men and women. And yes, we do need all members of society to participate equally in order for us to, to build a society. So we do need men's support. But, for me, I think that we need each other's support more than anything else as women, right? I'm still yet to see a time where a man comes and says, oh, that girls' club.
Yeah.
I just can't get through. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
To have a man say, I tried everything, and just the girls' club just wouldn't let me go through, or something like that. And I'm not saying that we should build girls' club for the sake of pushing men out.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, where are our girls' clubs?
Gotcha.
Right?
I love that.
Why are we not supporting each other at that level? Why aren't we taking our networks and building our networks to a point where it doesn't really matter whether men support us or not.
Right.
Because for them, yes, they like women. They want us to support them. They want us to wash their shirts, look after their children, make their homes comfortable. And every now and then, take your brilliant mind as well. You get involved in all of that. But when it comes to their boys' club, it's still their boys' club.
Gotcha.
Can we have our own girls' club?
What's holding us back?
What is holding us back?
Is there anyone in the audience who has, okay, we've got a hand up there. Do we have a roving mic that we can take to the gorgeous lady in the black? If you could just stand up and tell us your name, what is your vocation, the organization you represent, and what are your views?
Hi, everyone. My name is Masachaba Wesi.
No, stop it.
I know. Can I disclaimer everybody? The original Masachaba.
Yes, the original Masachaba.
Yes. Tasmia, I absolutely love you.
Thank you.
I did an MBA with her 2016 and actually got top student award for her subject. But anyway, my comment is really around the girls' club. I work for Liberty. The organization, yes, has its challenges, but it was very refreshing for me to encounter this young lady over here that has actually formed a girls' club.
Yay.
And that was deliberate about forming this girl club of 4 black women. And in this process, she has allowed us the opportunity to really run a strategic project within the organization that has seen the CIO sponsor all 4 women.
Wow.
And I think I would like to see more examples of this woman and really standing up and being clear around women, we need to really stick together and really build on each other. And as a girls' club, we are very hard on each other. We tell each other the truth, even when it hurts, but what we expect from each other is nothing but the best. And we take every opportunity to elevate each other. And her vision is actually to grow this girls' club beyond the 4 women that were originally part of it. So I have a good story to tell around a girls' club being formed by a very young woman. I'm way much older than her. So I think, yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Thank you very much for sharing that. That is really powerful. And Jenna, moving forward, I mean, I love the fact that for me, it's important that we kick now into second gear. We are a solutions-driven nation. What else can we do to empower women?
I agree. I think that we're moving into a new phase now, one that's more about saying women are strong and women empowerment, and now we actually have to put what we've learned and how we've discussed things at conferences, etc., into practice. I think that, I find myself sitting with my girlfriends on weekends, coming up with the most incredible ideas. And sometimes I sit back and I think to myself, why aren't we implementing on this? And sometimes I think it comes down to the only thing being lack of confidence. We can access money, we can access structural support, we've got favors, I've got a network that's there that's willing to help at any moment. And I really think it just comes down to you saying, I'm going to do this. And girlfriend, we sat at Tasha's one day or wherever you were sitting, and we came up with this idea, let's do this. And I think that's how men operate. They've got this huge confidence where they go forward and they do it, and they might fail.
That's what it is.
They try.
As a matter of fact, there's a survey that has actually proven that usually for a man to apply for any job in society, regardless of what it is, he only needs about 40% of the criteria or the requirements of that job. We won't apply unless we have 80% of what's required of us.
More like 120.
That's what it
More like we go.
and then continue to doubt ourselves. And then, there's something called the imposter syndrome that I struggled with for years until this point. So that is a very valid point. Thank you so much, Jenna. And Tashmia, just moving forward, in terms of, we've had so many conversations around how to empower women. How do we empower ourselves?
I think it's impossible to solely empower yourself. I do think it takes a village. I think it's very difficult to say I'm going to navigate the challenges of the working world, of the communities we come from as an individual. And having the support of people behind you is important. There is hard work. You can't expect to be empowered if you're going to sit back. You educate yourself, you do online courses, you make the time. I do think that we get caught up. One of the reasons we don't take forward our ideas is, if I think about the amount of spare time I've had between work and my two girls, raising my two girls, because I was a single mother for about 7 or 8 years. There was very little spare time in between being a mom and being a career woman to take forward those extra ideas that you may have. But this is also why, one of the questions in the preparation for this was, can we create platforms that make it easy for us to empower other women? Can we create platforms where, when we do have that little bit of time, we're not reinventing the wheel at Tasha's, but we can piggyback on massive national programs that people like the young Dynamo started in her company? Can we piggyback on the people who have the time to start these? And I'm going to ask our tech guy to put that platform up for us. This is a crowdfunding platform that Yes created called Fund a Future. We have amazing young women who are ready to launch their careers. We have NGOs at community level, so they don't have to leave their families. They can work in their community. All you do is you go to the site, you select a woman whose story resonates with you, and even if you put $100 down, there's a whole system sitting behind this that's going to nurture and mentor and carry this young woman into a career. But there's a platform there, and you can contribute, even with a little bit of time or resource that you have. So, empowerment is a fair bit of working on your own, but also helping create platforms that people who want to empower other women are able to do so with a little bit of space and energy they have left over.
That is fantastic. Ladies, thank you so much. I will take one more question or comment from the audience before we wrap up the discussion. Is there anyone that would like to add towards the solution of how we empower each other, love each other as women, and how we continue to take the baton forward?
Hi, beautiful woman. Hi, gents. I just want to share my story quickly.
What is your name?
My name is Delcy. My surname is Ntombeni.
Thank you.
I just want to share a story with you, beautiful woman.
Sure.
I've sent a message to Top Women. I've just sent them a Facebook message with my story. And I've received a feedback back saying to me, please forward us your email address. I did forward them their email address, and they gave me a complimentary ticket for free to come here today.
Wow.
This is what it calls woman empowerment.
Yes.
My story is, I was raped when I was 14 years old. And I said to them, I believe it is time for my story to be told. I want to go to locations. I want to educate young girls who are raped, who can't live with this thing, who are very suicidal, who are saying, what is life after rape? I want to say to them, here I am. I was raped, but look at me today. There is life after rape. That's how we empower each other.
Thank you so much. And what a powerful note to close this session on. We appreciate you very much. How do people get a hold of you? Do you have email, social media platforms? If we can give her a microphone, please.
My email address is dalcy1.mtombeni@gmail.co.za. My cell phone number goes 073 5659443. I am on Facebook, Dalcy Mtombeni. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for her, ladies and gentlemen. So this has been a very meaningful conversation, but the conversation doesn't end here. This is an ongoing conversation. We need to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Our challenges are all very varied. And what we need is varied because we are individuals living in a modern society with the societal pressures, with pressures of being a mom, of being a daughter, of being a professional. But at the end of the day, if we continue to carry this narrative forward, it starts with me. It starts with you. Before we can have these grand expectations of what should be done for women, what do we do for ourselves? What do we do for each other? So please do make sure that you continue the conversations, and it has been an absolute honor and a privilege. You can find me at Masachabandlovu on every platform. Tag me, I'll find you, I'll follow you back. Let's connect. Let's create that girls' club. Let's join existing girls' clubs. Invite me, I'm there. And let's continue to uplift each other, but it also means working on ourselves so that we don't find the next woman a threat. When you are secure in yourself, as a matter of fact, you want to surround yourself with women who are smarter, women who know more than you do. And if you find yourself in a room and you happen to be the most important person in the room or the smartest, I think you're in the wrong room. Let's put ourselves in spaces that challenge us. Let's uplift as we go, and let's continue to leave the door open. And this is what these conversations have been about. Glade, in partnership with Standard Bank, Top Women, is hosting this breakaway session for that specific reason. And I hope if you've taken anything away, it's specifically that. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And thank you specifically to our panelists, Melody, Jenna, and Tashmia. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. And from me, Masachabandlovu, thank you very much. It's been an honor and a privilege. Woo! Oh, thank you.
Susan Miller.
Oh, Susan Miller.